Warning: the following parody will contain inappropriate language. This is intended for parody and humorous purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. Right, so this is all about James the Red Engine's story arc, and it's covering a few stories, so we are just going to call this James the Red Roaster. So James was fixed after the last episode, and the big bone boss man's like, see, as long as you don't act like a prick, then you'll be fine. But then James gets pure premature stimulation, right? And lets off a wad of steam on the big bone boss man's top hat. And the big bone boss man's thinking, prick. So James and Edward set off with their train and they go past the field where James had his accident. And all the coos are like, moo. But James is pure bricking it about what the big bone boss man's going to make about him wetting his top hat. So the big bone boss man's like, if you don't wrap your pish, I'm going to get you painted blue. And James is pure raging about that. Paint me blue. Could you imagine him doing something like that? So James is in the pure cream puff and he's taking it out in the coaches, being all pure domestic abuse like. And the coaches are like, oh, we've had enough of this. We're pure stopping, man. So they stop because the brakes are hard on, phrasing, because you're leaking the pipe. So the guard's like, we'll fix this with newspaper and a leather bootlace. But the driver's like, we're all poor and we can't afford laces. Where are we getting these laces from? Ask one of the passengers, they'll be rich knobheads. So they meet the biggest knobhead called Jeremiah Jopling and ask him for his laces, and he's like, no. So then everybody starts getting on his case. If you don't give him the laces, we're going to bust you in the buttons, you fud. So eventually he hands his laces over, and it gets back to the big bone boss man, and he's thinking, that wee fud James is pissing me off. I'm going to have to lock him in a tunnel. But his butler was like, excuse me, sir, why don't you just lock him in the shed for a few days? It's the same outcome, and then there's no disruption on the railway. Oh, that's a great idea. Right, I thought of that. It's very good, sir. So James spends a few days in the sheds and he's pure mopey dick. And the big bone boss man comes to visit him and he's like, you calm down, you fanny. Aye, sir. That's a good engine. Now go pull some trucks for me. And James is that happy to get out the shed that he puffs away. And he runs into Thomas and Thomas is like, yeah, got any bootlaces ready, James? And James is like, get it up, you wee dick. But as I've mentioned previously, trucks are tits. And these were the tittiest tits of all the tits. And the trucks are like, oh, we don't want this pure big red wido. But James is like, well, tough, now move your hole. And they pure try everything to make him stop. But James is pure determined and he will not give up. So as they're going up Gordon's Hill, the driver's like, right, we'll just pull them off fast, phrasing, and get them up the hill before they know it. So James is going faster and faster, but because he does that, the coupling snaps and half the train rolls down the hill. And James is like, yeah, little bass. That's enough, James. Let's go get the train. So they reverse down the hill and get the train. And then they manage to get over Gordon's Hill into the station. But there's the big bone boss man. And James is thinking, oh crap, he's going to lock me in a tunnel. But the big bone boss man's like, James, those trucks are fuds. And you made them act like less fuds. So in my opinion, you can still be a red fud. And that's how James pure redeems himself. The end.